20 minutes. I'm on the clock. Let's see what I can get done. Stick around until the end of the video to get some replacement exercises if you don't have the equipment that I have. We're starting off with the machine overhead press for our front delts, the front of the shoulder. We're going heavy here, which is why we're starting with this movement for a workout. We'll be doing 3 sets of 5 to 10 reps with 90 seconds of rest between sets, as per our most recent meta-analysis on rest times. Especially if you're time constrained, keep your warm-ups quick and to a minimum. I like doing around 40% of my max for about 6 to 8 reps, and then 1 or 2 reps with somewhere between 75% to 90% of my max. There's a few benefits of the seated machine overhead press compared to things like a seated dumbbell overhead press or even a standing barbell overhead press, especially when it comes to time efficiency. Because you simply select the weight and get going, it can save a ton of time in terms of loading up a barbell, getting a rack, etc. Likewise, compared to a seated dumbbell overhead press, there's a bit less fatigue involved because you can simply get the set going. In my opinion, it's the single most time efficient and one of the most effective front delt exercises. For technique, make sure you nail these basics. 1. Focus on the stretch. Go as deep as you can while keeping the elbows underneath your wrists. 2. Around 2 seconds on the way down, a pause in the stretch and be explosive out of that stretch position. And finally, don't let the weight rest on the stack. You should always be in control of the weight, meaning you should hover just before it starts resting on the stack. That's how ideal technique looks on this movement. The reason we're only doing 3 sets here is that your front delts get trained pretty well during most pressing movements in your program already. Bench pressing, incline pressing, dips, even front raises and sometimes lateral raises train your front delts. So you don't need to do a ton of direct front delt volume. For our first set, we're aiming for 5 to 10 reps. Because we don't have much time here and we want to make the most out of each set, we're aiming to hit failure on basically every set. Let's get into it. Alright, time for the next exercise. Next up, the machine lateral raise. It's not the best side delt movement out there. Something like a cable lateral raise or a lying dumbbell side raise does usually provide more stretch and more resistance in the stretch. However, these 2 movements have some downsides too. They're single arm, which means it will take more time to do overall compared to a bilateral option like this one. Additionally, with this option, you just select the weight and get going. It's a great time efficient option. We're amplifying that even more by using a drop set. A meta-analysis by Coleman and colleagues showed that drop sets can offer the same hypertrophy as doing traditional straight sets. Since we're trying to save time, we'll hit 5 to 10 reps on the first set. Then we'll immediately drop the weight by 20% and perform another set without rest. Repeat this 2 more times for 1 main set plus 3 drop sets. A good rule of thumb is that for each drop set, you should get at least 5 reps, because studies have found that a set should take anywhere between around 20 to 70 seconds to be maximally hypertrophic. Since I already did shoulder pressing, my muscle temperature is already elevated, so just a single heavy set is enough. We have around a dozen or more studies now on warming up for building muscle, suggesting that doing that 1 heavy set creates something called the post-activation performance enhancement effect. A good warm-up, all it does is elevate muscle temperature and get this 1 heavy PAPE set in before your first walk set. Let's talk technique. Yet again, the same basic principles apply. At least 2 seconds on the way down, a pause in the stretch, let the weight hover, and be explosive out of the stretch. 2 most common mistakes on this machine are 1, extend the chest when it gets hard to get the weight up, and 2, to let control fly out the window entirely. Let's get into it. I'm aiming for 5 to 10 reps here, but realistically, I can probably get around 10 with a full stack, so that's what we're doing. All the way to failure for every set to save time. Immediately drop the weight by around 20% and go again. For our last exercise, we've hit the front delts, the side delts. We still need to hit the rear delts. The side delts are the main muscle you need to be hitting in your shoulder train, but the rear delts get underappreciated. They get trained reasonably well during vertical pulling and rowing, but for your biggest overall shoulders, you do need to train them as well. We'll be doing the rear delt cable crossover. In contrast to most rear delt exercises, this will give you a great stretch on the rear delts under load. More than a machine would, more than dumbbells would. Yet again, we're doing a drop set. Because we're pretty warm already from both shoulder exercises, we can instantly jump to a heavy set of 1 to 3 reps, just like before. While I do my warm-up set, let me walk you through execution. First, grab the cable opposite to your arm. Cross your arms over and take a couple of steps forward. The starting position should resemble the peak squeeze of a cable chest crossover. From here, get a full stretch, explode out of that rest position, either with a full range of motion or with lengthened partials, and then over 2 seconds or so, come back down into the full stretch, pause, and repeat. A couple of common mistakes on this movement. The first, just like for the machine lateral raise, is to extend your hips or your spine when it gets tough to get it through the sticking point. The other is to turn it into a weird tricep extension shoulder exercise where you start with more elbow bend and then extend your elbows throughout the rep. We're trying to isolate your rear delts, so avoid doing this. First heavy set, let's do it, followed by 3 load drops. Oh. 4 sets, done. 20 minutes shoulder workout using appropriate rest times, the right movements, and drop sets. You can get a lot of stimulus for your shoulders in just 20 minutes. But, so do you think I fucked up this video? Is there a technique I missed? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll respond to the most uploaded ones. And now, we're right back where we started. If you'd like to be the drippiest guy in the whole gym, check out Rascal Apparel. Some of the nicest designs in the whole game, and if you head to rascalapparel.com and use code WOLF at checkout, you'll get 10% off and support me in the process. Now, as promised, the exercise substitutions. Let's say you don't have a machine lateral raise, or a machine overhead press, or a dual cable station setup. You can change exercises, and here's what I recommend. If you like to change exercises, check out MyoAdapt. Head to myoadapt.com and sign up to be notified when it launches. MyoAdapt is the smartest training app on the market. When you change exercises, it gives you the next best recommendations. Dr. Milo Wolf, shoulder workout in just 20 minutes. Until next time.